He was the king who shaped a legend. But destiny would betray him in the shadows.
From his hand, he forged a disciple, but that disciple would rise into something far greater.
Every alliance he forged carried the whisper of betrayal. The king who dreamed of unity now stood alone, facing his fate.
Dingiswayo's death was not an ending. It was the spark that gave birth to a storm.
The night was still, too still. In the heart of southern Africa, long before the world knew the name Shaka Zulu, another figure loomed in silence. His fate was written in whispers of betrayal and blood. His name was Dingiswayo, the king who would shape a boy into the most feared warrior Africa had ever seen. Yet Dingiswayo himself would not live to see the empire his pupil would build. In the shadows of firelight, his warriors once believed him untouchable, chosen by destiny itself. But destiny is cruel, for Dingiswayo's rise carried with it not just glory, but a curse. Every alliance he forged, every rival he crushed, drew him closer to a reckoning. And in the end, the man who created Shaka Zulu would meet a death as chilling as the silence that followed. So, who truly held the power? The mentor who built the empire or the disciple who would surpass him? And what dark truth lies hidden in the story of the king who became both creator and victim? The early 19th century was a world in turmoil across southern Africa. Kingdoms rose and fell with the strike of a spear. Among them, the Mthethwa kingdom stood strong, led by King Dingiswayo. Unlike many rulers of his time, he was both a diplomat and a warrior, seeking unity through alliances as much as conquest. His people respected him not only for his courage in battle but for his vision, to bind scattered clans into something greater. But beneath this vision, tensions simmered. The Zulu clan, once small and overlooked, were among his allies. Their young warrior, Shaka, served under Dingiswayo's command, learning tactics, discipline, and the art of psychological warfare. Dingiswayo saw something in Shaka, a fire that could not be contained. Perhaps he believed molding Shaka would strengthen his own throne. But power shared is power risked, and Dingiswayo's rivals saw opportunity. Among them, Zwide Kalanga of the Ndwandwe, a ruthless warlord whose ambition mirrored Dingiswayo's, but whose methods dripped in brutality. Zwide saw Dingiswayo's diplomacy as weakness, and Shaka's growing reputation as a threat. The air thickened with whispers of treachery. The ground itself seemed to tremble with the weight of an inevitable clash. As battles raged across the hills and valleys, Dingiswayo's Mthethwa clashed with Zwide's Ndwandwe. Spears rained, shields splintered, blood stained the soil. Dingiswayo led with courage, but the odds mounted against him. Zwide's forces were relentless, cutting through villages, leaving only ruin behind. And somewhere in the chaos, Shaka fought too, watching, learning, remembering every horror. But the real dagger was not the spear, it was betrayal. Dingiswayo was captured. The man who taught Shaka strategy, the king who dared to unite tribes, was thrown into the hands of his enemy. What followed was not a battle, but an execution. His death was not swift glory, but humiliation. A message carved into history by Zwide's rage. The mentor was gone. The empire he dreamed of teetered. Yet in that death a seed was planted, for Shaka would rise not just as a warrior, but as the storm Dingiswayo had unknowingly unleashed. The aftermath was chaos. Dingiswayo's people mourned, his kingdom fractured. But out of despair came a new order. Shaka, hardened by loss and fueled by vengeance, stepped forward to claim the mantle. His military reforms, the short stabbing spear, the bullhorn formation, were born not just of genius but of grief. Dingiswayo's death was not the end of a story, but the beginning of another far darker one. So was Dingiswayo's fate a failure, or the price of creating a legend? Did he forge his own downfall by raising a disciple too powerful to control? Or was he simply another victim of the endless cycle of conquest and revenge that defined his world? Perhaps the darkest truth is this. Without Dingiswayo's rise and fall, Shaka Zulu might never have existed, and history would have been written in entirely different blood.